big and tasty. For just $1, you did your thing, dog.
$17 for 3 filet of fishes at McDonald's? Are you kidding me?
Over the last 4 years, something strange happened in American restaurants. Your bill went up, your plate got smaller, and somehow the food started tasting worse. All three, simultaneously, quietly, and nobody announced any of it. That is not inflation, that is a system. And today we are pulling it apart, layer by layer, to expose the three-way trap that is destroying the American dining experience. The price gouging, the quantity shrinkage, and the quality collapse. The foundation. The invisible hand. Before we get to the trap, you need to understand who controls the food. In 1969, a man named John Baugh had an idea. Restaurants at the time were fragmented, each one ordering from a different local beef guy, a different produce supplier, a different dairy farmer. Baugh saw that as inefficiency. He merged 9 regional distributors under one roof. It's called Sysco. By 1981, largest food distributor in America. Today, Sysco, alongside its only real competitor, US Foods, controls the supply chain behind the overwhelming majority of restaurants in this country. Every major chain, every franchise, most of the local spots in your city, one truck, one catalog, one set of prices, that they decide. And here is what that control actually produces. Imagine this. You walk into 3 completely different restaurants in your city. Different logos, different menus, different price points. One is casual dining, one is fast food, one is your neighborhood spot. And yet, the mozzarella sticks, the burger patties, the bagged lettuce, the pre-made sauces, all came off the exact same Sysco truck that morning. This is not a coincidence. Yet this is the architecture. And it is the foundation everything else is built on. Trap 1. Price. The bill that was never what it said. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, restaurant menu prices increased 33% between 2020 and 2024. A meal that cost $15 in 2020 now costs nearly $20. A family dinner that ran $60 is now $85 and before the tip. The industry will tell you costs went up, so prices followed. And here is the thing, that is partially true. Food commodity prices did spike. Labor costs rose. Commercial rents held firm through the inflation period. These are real pressures, but here is what the industry is not telling you. By late 2022, those input costs started retreating. Cooking oil, and one of the most cited reasons for restaurant price increases, fell by over 40% from its 2022 peak. Wheat normalized. The chicken stabilized. Menu prices did not move. Not down by a single cent. In fact, according to the National Restaurant Association, average profit margins for full-service restaurant chains improved between 2022 and 2024. Darden Restaurants, parent company of Olive Garden and Longhorn Steakhouse, reported revenue growth and increased shareholder dividends in 2023. The same year, their restaurants were raising your menu prices. Costs went down, margins went up. You kept paying more. But the menu price is only the beginning. Welcome to the Uberification of your dinner. Major chains now use digital menu boards with dynamic pricing. The same technology Uber uses to surge prices during rush hour. A chicken sandwich costs $2.50 more at noon, because you are hungry at the same time as everyone else. Then comes the surcharge shell game, a wellness fee, a kitchen appreciation charge, a credit card processing surcharge. These are not tips for your server. These are corporate accounting tools designed to offset operational cost without officially changing the listed menu price. And then the tip screen. Not the old one, the new one. Starting at 20%, climbing to 30%. The no-tip option buried at the bottom in the smallest font legally permitted. You walked to the counter, you ordered on a screen, you fetched your own drink, and the machine asked you to pay the wages the corporation decided not to cover. That $17 pasta? By the time you walk out, $26.50. They knew that before you ever sat down. It's trap 2, quantity. Plate engineering. While you were staring at the price, someone in a corporate office was quietly engineering your plate. This is called shrinkflation. And in restaurants, it is almost impossible to catch, because there is no label to read. No package weight to compare. Just a plate that feels emptier than it used to, and a memory that cannot quite prove it. Here's exactly how it works. When food costs spike, the first call a chain's corporate team makes is not to the chef. It is to the operations and supply chain team. And in that meeting, they go line by line through what they call a portion audit, reviewing every item on the menu for what they euphemistically call right-sizing opportunities. That 8-ounce sirloin quietly becomes 6 ounces. The fries that used to overflow the basket become a curated serving in a paper cup. The soup that came with the entree is now a $4.99 add-on. The bread basket that arrived automatically now only comes if you specifically ask. None of this is announced, it just happens. Location by location, season by season. According to Technomic, one of the leading food industry research firms, over 60% of major chain restaurants reduced at least one portion size between 2021 and 2023, while either holding prices flat or raising them. Over 60%. And the plate itself changed. In 2025 and 2026, the standard dinner plate at major chains shrank from 12 inches to 10.5 inches. A wider decorative rim, a smaller food well. Your brain sees a full plate. The scale tells a different story. A 15% reduction in food mass, hidden inside an optical illusion. Then there is the burger that is not what it says. Chains now use high moisture injection, pumping raw meat with solution enhancers to hit the advertised weight at the factory. When that patty hits the grill, the water evaporates. Your half-pound burger arrives with the actual density of something considerably smaller. You paid half a pound. You ate something else. But here's the most calculated part of all. Portion reduction does not just cut costs. It creates a secondary revenue event. If you leave the table slightly unsatisfied, you are statistically more likely to order dessert, an extra appetizer, another drink. The restaurant profits when it fills you up, and it profits again, by design, when it doesn't. You paid for it twice. Trap 3. Quality. The reheat era. And now the deepest layer. The one that is hardest to see, but impossible not to taste. To manage margins getting crushed from every direction, restaurants made a quiet, industry-wide decision. Stop cooking. Start reheating. Most of the protein you eat at a chain restaurant today is centralized prep. Pre-cooked in a factory. Vacuum sealed. Shipped to the location, where someone who is no longer called a chef, but a kitchen technician, drops it on a hot surface for 4 minutes and sends it to your table. After Chipotle's E. coli outbreak in 2015, which affected over 500 people across 11 states, the chain shifted entirely to central production facilities that pre-cook, pre-shred, and pre-portion everything before it reaches the restaurant. The food safety argument was legitimate, but longtime customers will tell you, the food has never tasted the same since. Chipotle is not the exception. This is now standard operating procedure across the industry. And it is not just the process that changed. It is the ingredients themselves. Take the cheese. Leprino Foods, based in Denver, Colorado, supplies mozzarella to virtually every major pizza chain in America. They hold over 50 patents on their product, not patents on flavor. Patents on melt behavior, stretch consistency, how to pre-shred it, freeze it, and ship it 3,000 miles without degrading. You are not eating cheese. You are eating a patented dairy delivery system. Then there is the oil. Real butter and olive oil costs have surged. Most major chains have pivoted to industrial seed oil blends, engineered for shelf lives measured in years, not chosen for your health or your taste. And the beef. Restaurant grade, a product category that never appears in a retail grocery store. Lower cut, solution injected, processed for visual consistency. You are paying for a prime experience and receiving an economy product dressed in premium lighting. And the people who could tell the difference? According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the restaurant industry lost approximately 8 million kitchen jobs in spring 2020. The experienced core, trained line cooks, chefs who built careers around craft, most of them never came back. They moved into construction, logistics, and delivery. Better hours, more stable pay. What replaced them was an undertrained, IT overworked workforce following laminated instruction cards in kitchens where recipes had been simplified to the point that skill was no longer required. Because in a cost-optimized kitchen, a skilled chef is a financial liability. They are expensive. They have opinions about ingredients. They push back on substitutions. What the modern chain restaurant wants is a technician. Flavor is not in the job description anymore. The psychology. Why you keep going back. So if the food is worse, the portion's smaller, and the price is higher, why are people still going? Because restaurants stopped selling food a long time ago. They sell familiarity, convenience, nostalgia. After a long day, after every decision you had to make, every responsibility you had to carry, the cognitive effort of cooking a meal feels enormous. And in that moment of exhaustion, a glowing sign and a 15-minute wait feels like relief. The restaurant industry has engineered every touch point of the modern experience. Apps, drive-thrus, loyalty rewards, delivery platforms, specifically to be frictionless at your lowest energy moment. And beyond exhaustion, there is memory. You do not go to Applebee's because it is the best food in your city. You go because Applebee's was there on your 9th birthday. Because certain logos carry emotional weight that has nothing to do with what is currently on the plate. The industry invested billions building that emotional infrastructure, not to earn your loyalty in the present, to harvest the loyalty they built in your past. The blame shift. The story they told you. Now here's the section nobody in the industry wants you to reach. Because everything we just exposed, the price architecture, the portion engineering, the ingredient substitutions, all of it was covered by one perfectly constructed public narrative. We had no choice. Inflation, supply chains, labor costs, COVID, Ukraine, bird flu. The restaurant industry had a crisis ready for every question asked, and the media accepted it, because on the surface, it was true enough. But here is what the narrative carefully omitted. It omitted that commodity prices retreated while menu prices did not move. It omitted that Darden reported growing dividends the same year its restaurants were raising prices on you. It omitted that every service fee, every tip prompt, and every surcharge was not an emergency survival tool. It was revenue architecture. Designed by behavioral consultants who knew you were less likely to object to fees at the end of a transaction than at the beginning. The inflation story was real. And then it became a shield that justified price increases beyond what costs required. That normalized portion reductions that had nothing to do with ingredient prices. That introduced fee structures that would have caused public outrage if anyone had been transparent from the beginning. You were not just a victim of inflation, you were a victim of the story inflation allowed them to tell. The local casualty. The ones who never had a chance. Everything we covered devastates the chains visibly, but it quietly kills someone else entirely. The local restaurant. On the family that saved 15 years to open a small dining room. The chef who trained for a decade and came home to do something real. The immigrant-owned spot feeding the same neighborhood for 20 years. These restaurants face every single cost pressure we described. Cisco price hikes, labor costs, inflated rents, but without any of the leverage to fight back. When Chili's calls Cisco, they negotiate from enormous power. When the local taqueria calls Cisco, they are told a price, and they pay it. No negotiation, no volume discount, no alternative. And here is the deepest cruelty. The chains, by training consumers to accept cheap, fast, and standardized as the baseline, made it nearly impossible for local restaurants to compete on perceived value. Your neighborhood spot makes fresh pasta every morning. It charges $18. Now, the Olive Garden 2 miles away charges $16 for pasta that arrived from a factory 3 states away. On paper, the local restaurant looks overpriced. In reality, but it is the only one actually cooking. We have been conditioned to punish the people doing it right and reward the system that is failing us. The three-way trap worked for years. Raise the bill, shrink the plate, swap the ingredients, blame the economy, keep the difference. It worked because the pieces were never shown together. The price increase felt like inflation. The smaller portion felt like your imagination. The worst taste felt like your standards were changing. But it was never any of those things. It was a system, running all three simultaneously, counting on you never connecting the dots. But traps only work until the person inside them realizes they're trapped. And now you know. The local restaurant charges a little more because they are actually cooking. They deserve it. The chain charging a lot more for a reheated, engineered, logistically optimized product? They are counting on you not noticing. You've noticed.